inspired you to get into animation?
What inspired me to get into animation? A need for money. I was going to school as a transportation design major at Art Center, and I worked for a little while in between trimesters to earn money for school as a costume designer, and I met a guy named Bill Stout, who was a production designer on a movie, and it looked a lot more interesting than cars, so I switched majors. And before I could really figure out what it was I was going to do, I found myself in a position where I needed to get a job, and the opportunity to get into animation was there. I took it, and it's just something I've stayed with all this time. I've always enjoyed cartoons. I've always found the art of cartoons very, very inspiring, but it was never a goal of mine to be an animator. I'm very happy that I'm in it.
Very interesting story. Very cool story. What was your favorite series to work on?
My favorite series to work on was Johnny Bravo. I was the art director on that show, and it was a lot of fun because instead of the usual pipeline of you get a script and then it gets divided into the different departments for the artwork to be created, we worked with a crew of writers, producers, directors, and then myself, and all in one room, and we made the whole show together in 2 days. So we all contributed to all the jokes, to the way the story went, and to the direction of it. It was very collaborative, and it was that style of work, and it was quite rewarding.
Wow, very impressive. Do you pitch story ideas? If so, how?
Well, there's two ways that can happen. One is I've got a story idea of my own that I'm trying to pitch to whoever executive, hope of selling it. And then the other way that I'll pitch it would be the story that I'm working on, and we're in a pitch room where we're all contributing to story, like in Johnny Bravo. And it's very spontaneous usually. That style, the latter would be spontaneous. The former would be something that would be more scripted, where I actually have an agenda that I'm trying to communicate with artwork.
Wow, very cool. What is the most challenging part of your job?
Strangely enough, the most challenging part of my job is maintaining focus all day to do it. I've found that I've gotten better with that over the years, and but it was very difficult at first, and created a lot of problems. So, without a doubt, focus.
How has animation changed from your project to now?
How has animation changed from the first project I worked on till now?
Yeah.
I don't know that it really has. I think that animation changed a lot before I actually got in it, briefly before I got it. And I think there was at one time a structure of apprentice to journeyman that was in place. The union was a little stronger with that, and people learned the process because a lot of animation was done fully here. It was done from concept to drawings and ink and paint and camera, and everything was done here, and that includes television as well as feature. And with the advent of involving first it was Japan, and then Korea and China and we went on from there. It's designed differently. Now what we do is we create assets that we send overseas, and they do the animation. So it's fundamentally different that way. The order in which things are done is sometimes changeable, because in the end, overseas is going to make their own order of how they do things. So that would be the biggest change, the fact that it's done overseas.
How do you showcase your skills for job placement?
Well, Instagram seems to be the latest thing that I'm doing. Mostly with this business, and I think mostly with business, is that you're going to get your work through people you know. You're going to get work through people that you're friends with. And it's changed a little bit in that way. HR departments, human resources departments, have become more of a presence in finding the work. And so you have to go through them occasionally. That's new to me. They usually have their own specific requirements of what they want, and many times you have to take a test. I've been doing this work it's going on 30 years, and a lot of people with my experience have a problem doing a test, for free, and I don't. I think it's probably something that, as long as it's not taken advantage of by the people that are asking you for this, it's a good thing. And it also gives you an opportunity to present your work in places where you may not have friends, where you may not know anybody. And so I guess that would be that's what I would think.
Well, what does animators work week look like?
What does an animator's work week look like? Well, it depends on what it is you actually do in that work. If you're somebody who's producing drawings or assets, you would typically get a list of assets that you're supposed to do, and whatever materials you might need. For instance, in my case, I have a meeting Mondays, and at that point the art director will go through a list of background drawings that he needs done for that week's show, and he will have the storyboard on a projector and describe what's going on with the story and what we need for that background. And there's two of us in that department, and so we both go through that, and then after we kind of decide who's going to do which one, it's just a matter of fulfilling that list. And any questions I might have, I could go to the art director for. If you're doing something that's more of a management thing, like I've done production design and directing and art directing, it's pretty much strategizing how you're going to create that set of assets with all the people on the production, and then assigning work and making sure that it gets done properly. So there's a wide range of what somebody's day or week might look like, depending on your position.
What has been the best advice you've received throughout your career?
Try to have some fun. I think that that any job is more than just what you've been tasked to do. If you don't consider the fact that you work in a contained environment with other people, you can do a large disservice to yourself. So sometimes things don't go the way they should go in terms of logic and process, but in the end, it'll get done, and it's just as important to be a good energy in a studio and be somebody that people want to work with, and as well as doing a good piece of artwork. So try to have a good time and make people glad that you're on the show.
What advice do you have for aspiring animators?
Well, love art. Try to. It's like anything. Drill down into it and find out the part you like the best, and always try to make time for yourself to do that. I still do. I still can't wait to get to my own personal work, and I think that you need to preserve that kind of enthusiasm. As far as getting in the business, there's many ways. You can certainly get there without going to school, without a portfolio. There's places that are considered more entry-level companies. And then there's certainly schools that have a good network for getting into animation. Researching that would be a good piece of advice. Find a school that places people in that way. That'd be my best advice, is to get some sort of education directly into, animation as what I should do.
Very good advice, yeah. What challenges have you faced as a professional on the spectrum, particularly in animation? How have you overcome them?
Well, I found that the first thing that I had to deal with was this issue of focus, as I mentioned, and that surfaced as an ADD, attention deficit disorder issue, and I think that the medication that I take for that, which is Adderall, helped immensely. Once I found a way to focus with this help, then I could develop my skills of focusing. I could see how what the process, what the elements of focusing are for me. And my biggest issue, I guess, was what do I do first? And a lot of stress is involved in that. Putting things in order, huge issue for me. And I found that it's less important whether you're right or wrong about the order you do things. It's just do something, and try to take the pressure off myself about making a mistake about what should be done first. And over time, I found that certain things happen, and the less time deliberating, the less time thinking about it, the less stress I have, the easier it is to focus. And the more enjoyable it is. When it starts to become enjoyable, that's when focus starts to happen. So find a way to enjoy it. That's how I overcame my biggest issue.
That's some good missing points. I also had AD too, so I can relate.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.